But what I can say is I'm very confident that our Rwanda scheme is in compliance with all our international obligations.
Well, imagine the shock for the Prime Minister when someone tells him the damning parliamentary report from the Cross-Party Joint Committee on Human Rights has just found his controversial Rwanda bill is fundamentally incompatible with the UK's human rights obligations, erodes the protections laid down in the Human Rights Act, contravenes parts of the European Convention on Human Rights, and falls short of the UK's commitment to comply with international treaties. And if all that's not bad enough, the report found the actions the Prime Minister is taking actually places the UK's hard-won reputation for the rule of law and human rights in jeopardy. And what's worse, the Prime Minister knows it.
I actually think characterising like that is deeply unhelpful.
Seriously? This is what the Prime Minister himself has previously said about his bill.
It disapplies relevant sections of the Human Rights Act.
Just listen to that again.
It disapplies relevant sections of the Human Rights Act.
And now listen again to what the Prime Minister told the Parliamentary Liaison Committee.
Our Rwanda scheme is in compliance with all our international obligations.
It was complete bollocks. Human rights are universal. It's not for this government to pick and choose who they should and should not apply to.
Without question, this is a novel thing to do.
The Rwanda bill not only strips away basic human rights from people seeking safety in this country, it actually puts all our rights at risk. Because if this government can just snatch them away from any section of society when it pleases, then none of us has rights. Just privileges that can be taken away by people in power whenever they want. Which brings us back to this.
Our Rwanda scheme is in compliance with all our international obligations.
Well, again, imagine the shock for the Prime Minister when someone reminds him he recently said this.
Are you prepared to breach international law in order to get those rights off?
So look, if you're asking me, are there circumstances in which I will ignore Rule 39s, and the answer is clearly yes.
That was the UK Prime Minister proudly announcing at a press conference that he's willing to break international law by ignoring Rule 39 orders which are issued by the European Court of Human Rights on an exceptional basis where there is a real risk of serious and irreversible harm. The President of the European Court of Human Rights immediately responded with this.
There is a clear legal obligation under the Convention for states to comply with Rule 39 measures. The legal basis for this is principally Article 34 of the Convention, the effective protection of the right to individual application, to which one could add, for the lawyers in the room or online, Articles 1, 19 and 32 of the Convention.
It's clear from that statement that the UK will be in breach of its international legal obligations if it refuses to comply with Rule 39 orders, which isn't surprising given the government's own legal advice also states that failing to comply with Section 39 orders would be a breach of international law. So with all that in mind, listen once again to what the Prime Minister told the Parliamentary Liaison Committee.
Our Rwanda scheme is in compliance with all our international obligations.
I'm sure the Prime Minister can't wait to correct the record.